All right, let us say hello once again to the former two-time UFC strawweight champion, Rose Namajunas. Big fight coming up at flyweight this Saturday on the main card of UFC 324, the first event of the UFC Paramount era, taking on Natalia Silva. Rose, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Big fight indeed. You were originally supposed to face former champion Alexa Grasso on this card. She had to withdraw from the matchup, has since been rebooked for March against Macy Barber. And honestly, even though Grasso is a former champion, she is on a little bit of a skid, and Natalia has been on an absolute heater. 7-0 in the UFC, just came off a pretty dominant win over Grasso. It seems like, with all due respect to Alexa, the stakes are higher for this one, a better opportunity for you right now. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as it got switched to Natalia, I was like, all right, here we go. Gotta step it up, gotta, account for the different things she brings to the table, her strengths and weaknesses. I had to make adjustments, but we were ready for that. I've been looking at Natalia for a while now, so it wasn't like this huge pivot that we had to make. I mean, it was something to consider, but definitely just really grateful for the opportunity that she took this fight because she definitely didn't have to, and I think it's a lot of respect to her.
I mean, how much did you actually? You mentioned having to make some adjustments and pivoting a little bit, but not too much. But like, how much of an audible would you say it was in regards to your preparation? Because obviously, Natalia and Alexa are two different opponents.
Yeah, I think normally when I was fighting, so there's this Taekwondo bronze medalist that I was like sort of in contact with, and when I originally was like thinking about the possibility of fighting Natalia, I thought about training with her if I was matched up with her, and when it was just Alexa, even though that is something that I still wanted to do regardless of who I was fighting, I wasn't necessarily going to try to fit that in our schedule. But once it got switched, I changed that and reached out to her just to be able to, get that look from somebody else that does throw those taekwondo kicks and also to work on my taekwondo as well because that is a base of mine as well. So I would say that was the main adjustment. But other than that, I mean, and maybe a little bit in the grappling department. I think Alexa is more open to grappling, and I think she was going to probably try to. There was a chance that she was going to try to wrestle me more, whereas not to say that Natalia isn't, but it's. I think she hasn't shown that that's her, kind of tendencies. So we kind of just made certain adjustments in the grappling as well, but nothing drastic, just kind of little adjustments here and there.
Going back to the stakes, you said it in media day this week. Natalia also said it during her media day scrum. This is a title eliminator. When were you told about this, and would it have been the same thing for you if you were still fighting Alexa on Saturday?
Yeah, if it was Alexa, I don't know, just because, like you said, she is on somewhat of a skid. She is a former champion, so, that does mean something, but it would really kind of probably depend on my performance. Whereas, like, once it got switched, once Alexa pulled out, and mind you, I was supposed to fight Alexa like multiple times. Like, there was it seemed like there was, maybe something wasn't going well because it constantly was the date was being moved. And so I kind of sort of wondered if this was going to happen. I'm just thankful that I didn't get the switch up like a couple weeks before the fight, you know what I mean? So we had adequate time to prepare and stuff. But I guess to answer your question, when it first got switched, that's when I was told that. So um but I mean, like I said, but I've said it before that I mean, it's some people are saying like, oh, guaranteed. I mean, I don't think anything's guaranteed. Even though they said that, I want to make sure, that I put on the best performance possible, and that regardless of what happens, I'm just happy with myself at the end of the day, and yeah, with the win, that would be great.
That would be great, but it would also be against likely Valentina Shevchenko. And I remember when we spoke a couple of years ago when you sort of broke the news that you were probably moving up to flyweight. We talked about a
Mhm.
potential matchup with Valentina. And to be honest, I remember that so clearly because you were a little bit conflicted by the idea. Like it was a dream fight of sorts, but you also had a relationship with her. You've trained together and
Right.
all. And now that you're in this spot, and a win could get you to a chance of becoming a two-division UFC champion, but it would likely be against Valentina Shevchenko. How would you describe the emotions of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely would be like a combination of like my entire career, and it would be, I mean, just as a fan, she's like, I'd say one of the greatest, if not the greatest female fighters of all time. So that would be my reason that it would be a dream fight, you know what I mean? Just because as a fan, like I've always, looked at her career and thought to myself, like, that would be amazing if I could do what she's done, or at least, I try to, push myself to the way that she pushes herself, and I know how hard she works, and I know how strong she is, and how consistent she is. So I just try to always like it's just she's an inspiration to me. So that would be it. I mean, honestly, like in a certain sense, like without having any type of relationship with Joanna, when I was getting ready to fight her, I mean, it kind of was somewhat of that as well. Like I was a big fan of hers, even with her. I guess our rivalry in this and that. I was looking up to her. You know what I mean? So it definitely was sort of. But I always felt like I think her being, like the boogie woman at the time, it kind of helped me put those feelings aside in a way. But whereas Valentina, yeah, that would be a little more conflicting because I do like her personality, and I like that I like who she is as a person a lot. And but at the end of the day, it's like I mean, we also train together, and I think we the amount of training that we put in together, in the past, I would much rather be paid for that rather than just like, beat each other up in the gym. But obviously, training is also a lifelong journey as well. So, if we did that or if we didn't or whatever, I don't know what the future holds, but hopefully we can still train together at the end of the day.
I think you guys would be able to bury that after a fight and make it a bunch of
Yeah,
money. But
for sure.
a lot of people feel like maybe she could move up to bantamweight and challenge for that belt again against the winner of Kayla versus Amanda. Obviously, that was supposed to happen on Saturday. Now it's been postponed. How would you feel if Shevchenko vacated and moved up, and then you would fight for the vacant belt, maybe in a rematch with Manon? Like, how would you feel about that?
Yeah.
Or would it mean more to you if you accomplished this feat of becoming a two-division champion against someone like Valentina, who you have such immense respect for?
Yeah, I mean, definitely just from the aspect of for how much I respect what she's done in the sport, like to challenge myself and test myself against her would obviously mean a lot to me as a martial artist. But you know, um, but if she were to move up, I would have no problems with that whatsoever, and I would, especially if I get to rematch Manon for a vacant belt. I mean, I felt like I fought very well against her, and even though I lost the fight, I was fighting with the dislocated, broken pinky and couldn't even make a fist. So I was fighting kind of with one hand in a way. So to me, it's like and take it. I mean, she beat me fair and square. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I guess it kind of is. But but at the same time, I always wanted that fight back. I've always wanted to rematch Manon again. I know that those type of fights, you kind of have to like earn that right. So and get to that point, or it'd have to be like a point of interest, like, oh, like there's like a build up to it. Whereas like I don't necessarily just want to run something back for no reason. So um, but yeah, for a vacant belt at 125, I would love to rematch Manon. Because yeah, I feel like I could get her this next time. So, and obviously she looked great against Jasmine. She finished her, and she is a beast for sure. But I think that I can definitely I can get her.
Couple last things. Obviously, the focus is on this Saturday and Natalia Silva. What are the headlines going to read after this big fight?
What are the headlines gonna read?
Yeah,
All right, Thug Rose, Namajunas, does it again, gives a performance of a lifetime and is off to the belt.
love that. Last thing I want to ask you about, because and this is kind of a selfish question, but I'm super curious because you mentioned this a lot of media day, and I, just throw this out there and break down the fourth wall. I've sort of been on this journey as well as of late, especially over the last couple of months. But You talked a lot about God during media day
Mhm.
and fighting in front of an audience of one, and that
Mhm.
he'll guide you in the way that you're supposed to be guided. How important has your faith been to you, and when did it become such a big and integral part of your life?
Yeah, I'd say it's always been big in my life, but it wasn't you just have those certain revelation, moments where you just want to like tell everybody about it, or you just want to like shout it from the rooftop. And so it was just there were certain pivotal moments in my career and in my life that like really there's a few moments, uh I had a moment where I was really just, I guess, a low moment in my life where I realized I was, surrounding myself around a bunch of bad things. And I was, doing lots of like, drugs and just getting high all the time. And I realized that I like need to slow down with my life. And I rededicated my life to God. And like, even though I still always had my faith. I believed in myself more. I relied on my own strength and my own, like, my ego just got super huge. And so that started the journey, I'd say, like sort of like back on the right path. Um and then it wasn't until, I think, once my grandmother came in my life again, when she came back to the States, and I started taking care of her, and I realized like it basically got me outside of myself, and it made me like sort of put this career as like, not as the most important thing, and like rearrange my priorities a little bit. Because yeah, I mean, she's 88 and like she needs help, and so, normally when it's just me taking care of myself, it's like, I got this career and everything just revolves around that. And so yeah, taking care of somebody else, it really puts things into perspective, and it makes you realize that like you're not you shouldn't be the most important thing in your life. Like you should try to help other people. And so so that taught me a lot, and that taught me a lot about, just the different, like, it taught me, it showed me other people in my life that maybe had idols in their life that weren't equally yoked with me as well, and just different things that I had to like rearrange and change about my life. And so and I realized, and there was a lot of suffering and lots of betrayal and lots of different things that I experienced, where I had to really lean on that relationship, because to get through hurt and betrayal is very tough. And forgiveness is the hardest thing, to really do. And so I really had to lean um on Jesus, and just look at everything that he went through, just to kind of get me through that, and to still have the joy in my heart that I have, to be able to get through that. And so here I am, and so it's just my testimony. It's definitely something that is allowed me to just keep going, and not be so like heartbroken, and actually just be more happy than I've ever been, really.
That's great. I appreciate you sharing that with everybody, and obviously looking forward to this Saturday and this matchup with Natalia Silva. Thank you for the time. Enjoy it all. All the best to you at UFC 324 on Saturday.
Thank you very much.